All right, so hello everybody and welcome to Virtual Cup Shop ninth session. So this is our ninth event of the COVID situation so far, uh, and we have been encouraging a lot of first-time speakers, and Vipul is our fourth first-time speaker on this event. Uh, Wanted to make sure there's a proper introduction, and we have been working on certification voucher announcements as well. So far we have just given one certification voucher, but we still have 3 to 4 certification vouchers with us. So we would be planning to give out you know uh, two uh, two certification vouchers in the next event. uh, for this event, we are planning just to give a session by Vipul, which is the OAuth concepts. And thank you very much, Vipul, for volunteering and participating. And we wish you all the best in future as well to provide more sessions. Uh, Thank you everybody for joining. I put this call in the recording so that you guys can access this link once you know even if you I mean for the people who might not be able to attend or they want to go to the recording again, you can actually check out at our Noida group page. For the people who have not joined our Telegram group, I think Dhanik, if you can share that link over the chat group, that would be great. So people can join the group. So over to you, Vipul. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, thanks Vinay for this brief introduction, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to present myself first time. So yeah, today we'll be talking about OAuth concepts, and what exactly it is, how does it work, and why is it used in all the internet. So we will be talking about that. So let's begin. Yeah.
Vipul, your voice is a slight slow, so can you make sure you're close to the mic?
Okay. Now it's better.
Yeah, it is. Can you speak again?
Yeah. Yeah. Is it better now?
Yeah, this is better now.
Okay. So yeah, so let me introduce myself. My name is Vipul Agrawal. I am 1X certified Salesforce developer, and I am also a trail head ranger. And I have my own YouTube channel that is Technical Jobs, which I created during my college days, and recently it has crossed 1,500 subscribers. And you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is VipulAG_SF. Okay, so let's begin. So yeah, what will be the agenda of today's session is, first of all, we will be talking about overview of what it is and where it is used. And then we will be talking about authentication versus authorization. Many people get confused in these words. They use in different wrong places, like where it should exactly be used and how it is be used. And then we will be talking about actors and what all the entities will be used in OAuth, and then the OAuth flow, and then we'll see the demo, how it is used in a sales context. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So OAuth. So OAuth stands for Open Authorization. Yeah. So
Apologize
make
again.
sure here we are talking about. Hello.
Vipul, can you be a bit loud, please?
Is it better?
Yeah, it is better. You might have to increase your vocal in that sense. You might need to increase your voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, is it better now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So OAuth stands for Open Authorization. Here we are talking about authorization, not authentication. So, yeah. So OAuth is a framework that is not a protocol. So that's why I've underlined that framework word. So OAuth is a framework that allows systems to establish trust with one another. Like when one system wants to communicate with another system, then this OAuth comes into picture. And the end goal of this OAuth is to establish the trust between those two systems. And the physical end goal is to obtain an access token that plays a major role while communicating between those two systems. That is the main point that we will be talking about and we'll seeing in the demo. Yeah, this access token will be used to communicate between these two systems without using your username and password. Yeah. On the right hand side, we can see that whenever we log in on the workbench for the first time, and it asks that whether you want to log in into your production or sandbox environment and then log in. So it will redirect it to your login page of Salesforce. And after providing your username and password, then you will see this pop up, which asks you that whether you want to allow this workbench to access your data from Salesforce or not, whether you allow it or deny it. Let me show you. So here I have opened this workbench. Just let me refresh it. Yeah. So when you open this, it will ask you whether you want to uh, log in your production or sandbox. Here you agree, and it will redirect it to you to the login page of Salesforce, where you will enter your Salesforce login credentials. Yeah. So after providing the credential, you can see this pop-up will come, which will ask you for the allow access. So you can either allow it or deny it, whether your choice. Yeah. So that's how this OAuth will come into picture. Okay. In this next slide, we'll discuss about authentication and authorization. So authentication means who are you? Whether you are the right person who is logging into that service that you are using. Okay, it means like you get credentials or not. Let's say you want to log in into Gmail and want to access that Gmail, like sending an email or not. So how will you tell Gmail that you are that person or not? By providing your username and email and password. So that's how you authenticate Gmail that you are the right person to access that service. Okay. And what authorization means, what all access you have to use those Gmail services. Uh, so that means the authorization, what all the services that you can use. So in the internet, you see many websites are there. So let's say we take one example that you want to convert images into PDF. Okay, so you go on Google and type convert your image into PDF. So you see several websites. You click on first link and then you see to use that functionality on their website, they ask you to log in. Okay, so it will be very difficult to again register and verify. So it will be an overhead to maintain those email and passwords. So what the website do, they provide you an option in here, like whether you want to sign in with Gmail or Facebook, because most people have accounts on these websites. So here they provide you this facility that whether you want to access it using whether you want to log in it using Google or Facebook, well, it's your choice. So after when you click on this Google sign in through Google and Facebook, it will redirect it to your Google page. Let's say you want to sign in with Google, it will redirect you to the Google page where you will enter your Gmail credentials. Yeah. So after entering the Gmail credentials, it will ask you to the this authorization page that whether Google can use whether that third-party application will use your data from Google or not. So you allow or deny according to your choice. So that's how this authorization will come into picture. This OAuth will come into picture. Okay. So moving on. So here we'll see what are the actors in OAuth, what are the entities involved. So first is the resource owner. So resource owner is the person who is using that application. Like in earlier example that we let's say the workbench example, source owner is the person like I was using. So I am the resource owner in that case. The client means the application through which you are accessing the service. And like in the workbench example, client is the workbench. Okay. So resource server. Resource server is the yeah, no. So first, when you go on client and you ask the workbench to log in into Salesforce, in that case, that login page will redirect to your Salesforce server. That is the resource server, where your protected resources is resides in the Salesforce. Okay, and authorization server means the server which authenticates the resource owner, that is Salesforce. Like after login, it will redirect it to your Salesforce login page, here, where you will enter your username and password. In our case, in resource owner and resource server and the authorization server will be the same. And in many cases, these will be the same only. Yeah. So here we'll see the flow overflow, how it will work. Let me explain you this case. So let's take the workbench example only. Uh, in that case, resource owner was me. I was using that workbench. And when I request the service, like when I use the workbench, I use that service. I go on to the workbench.developerforce.com and then I go on that login page. So after login, where it sends to me the authorization server, where I need to put up my credentials of Salesforce, that username and password. Okay. So when I entered my username and password, it sends me again to that client, that workbench with a authorization code. Okay, that we'll see in our later demo. And with this authorization code, again we'll send a request to the authorization server to give us a request token that will help us to get the protected resource from the resource server, like the data which resides in the Salesforce that we can access through that access token. So when the access token we get, we request to resource servers to get the data. Okay. Yeah. So why we use OAuth with Salesforce? Because we know security is very important in Salesforce. Salesforce is built on trust. And when one system is want to communicate with Salesforce, then we need to make sure that our data should be safe and secure. So here we use OAuth. Okay. Yeah. So we can use OAuth in Salesforce either in inbound and outbound integration. I hope you have some basic idea of integration. Like a system can either use data from Salesforce or Salesforce can use data from another system. So in inbound integration, when third party application wants to interact with Salesforce, like he wants to get some data from the Salesforce, then we called it as an inbound integration. In that case, connected app is very helpful, is important. And in case of outbound integration, when Salesforce wants to access some data from another application, that is known as outbound integration, in which we use HTTP callouts. Okay. Yeah. So web server flow. So in this OAuth, it uses a web server flow, which we get. It also known as authorization code flow. So in this, a web app can be connect can be used to get the data from the Salesforce through a connected app. And with this, we can generate our access token to get the protected resource from the resource server. Okay. Yeah. So we'll see a quick demo here, how a web app can be used to get data from the Salesforce and how our access token can be generated. Okay. Here I will be using this OpenID Heroku app. It is a fictional playground, like a fictional web app that can be used to get the access token from the Salesforce. So first, let me log in. So far, is it good, guys? I hope. So, like earlier, we talked about the inbound integration when a third party wants to access the data from the Salesforce. For that inbound integration, we need a connected app. So first, we'll need to create a connected app. Okay. So, yeah, I will go to apps in a quick search and then click on my app manager and then a new connected app. So we can give any name here for connected app, like I'll say demo app. Okay. Contact. Like you can give it any name, and then logo, you can choose any sample logos. Let's say just choose this. So you need to copy this logo URL and put this here. Same with the icon URL.
Sorry, people, we are
People,
unable to see your screen.
can you just share the complete system? Probably you are sharing only one screen.
New connected app. Like I go to the quick search and type app and then new connected app. Here you can give it any name and then provide any contact email and then choose any sample logos from here. Okay, and provide any description. These are optional. The important thing is that you need to enable this OAuth settings, and the important thing is that you need to provide this callback URL, which I'll be getting from this OpenID Heroku app. It's a fictional web app that can be used to get our access token. So I've put this callback URL here. And yeah, these are the also important things. These are scopes, like what all the things that you want to provide the third party to access things in our Salesforce. Okay, so like you can provide this access some managed data, and we are using this unique identifier, and then this data via web, because we are using this web app. Okay, and then you can click save, and it takes a few minutes to activate. Okay, so for that I have already created a connected app. This is OpenID I have already created earlier. So we'll use this credential of it to authenticate. Yeah. So while after creating a connected app, you will get the two things: this consumer secret key and consumer secret and consumer key. So these are the things that will be used to authenticate our Salesforce with this OpenID web app. So I'll paste it my client ID here, and then this consumer secret. Okay. So let's just click next. Yeah. Yeah. So here I didn't get that authenticated screen where you need to enter my username password, because of I already logged in. So it directly give it to me this pop-up of authorization. So here, like earlier we put it that scopes, right? You know, that access and manage data and then provide access through web and that unique identifier. So this is the pop-up where OAuth comes into picture, that what all the scopes that you want to give to that third party application. So you need to allow it. Yeah. So after that allow, we have got this authorization code for that app. Here you can see I requested with that client ID and I have got my authorization code. And let me just go back to my slide. So here you have seen so leave it. Yeah. So after this authorization code, will this third party application again request to Salesforce to get my access token? Okay. So here you'll see I've created a post request on my Salesforce, and with this authorization code, I've got my access token. Are you able to see this? Here in the response, I've got my access token completely. Okay. And through this access token, we can request the resource server to get my protected resource. So here you can see through that access token, I've got my basic details like name, email, and that pictures, nickname, email, my locale country. So that's how this OAuth work. Like through this access token, we can get the basic information, the required information from our resource server, and how this come into picture. Okay. So through this connected app, we can also manage few policies like IP restrictions and the session timeout. Through this manage, like, yeah. So here you can see we can provide some restrictions through IP, and we can provide some session with timeout values, like in which session get timed out. So through this, there's very important things in connected app. And you can also see that the workbench and the trailhead is also works in the same way. Like here you can see that we have got a workbench connected app. It's a managed and we cannot modify anything in it. So that's how trailhead and workbench works through this OAuth concepts. Okay. Let me just go, yeah. So here we have seen that how that first we requested the my service to the workbench, like through OpenID, and then OpenID redirected to me that to authorization server where I was already logged in. That's why I did not try to put up my credentials, username, password, and I've got my authorization code. And then through authorization code, I've requested to my authorization server to get my access token. And through that access token, I again sent to my resource server to get some basic details, like my protected resources. That's how the complete cycle of OAuth works. Okay. Yeah, that's all. So these are some resources which you can refer, like some trailhead documentation and through ApexArts also. So that was from my side, that was a little bit uh, things of OAuth which I provided to you. Yeah, if you have any question, then you can ask. That's it from my side.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, Vipul. Krishna here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to know the difference.
Account related access, other has only contact related access. So with that two credentials, because the credential is again linked to the profile, so they have a different access to the different object.
So,
Yeah.
so we can divide these permissions based on like credentials itself. Like
Credential
we can have one.
Connected app
one
is just for the authentication, right? You just code the client and secret. After that, before that he told that okay, we need to put authentication, username and password, right?
yeah.
So normally we share the username password. With connected app, we also share the credential. Like this, you have to use this credential. That credential will
Okay.
be tied up with any profile. So that profile has all the related information which object you want to give access to particular user.
Okay. Got it. Got it.
Got it?
So just to
Yeah. Got
summarize,
it.
what Dhanik was trying to say is,
Yeah. Vinay,
uh,
sound this side. Vinay, I want to add here.
yeah, sure.
Sure, sure.
Yeah, thanks. So Dhanik, Vinay, I mean, what you guys have added, I just want to, on top of that, I just want to add, like, yeah, according to the partner access, what I think, like, we can group the partners. So consider like some partners are related to Asia specific, or might be some are like South America specific. So in that case, like I have seen a scenario, I have done that as well. So what we have done is like we can group that those partner based on some criteria, and what we can do is we can do like different connected app, not like exactly for each partner different connected app, but we can use multiple connected app, and we can give access to the connected app in group of users. And in that connected app, what we can do is like regarding the question, like access to the object level access. So what I can do is in the connected app itself, we can assign permission set. So that permission set access can be given, to the object level. So based on that permission set access, the partners will be allocated to that particular connected tab, and yeah, that's where we can do some, customization as well.
Okay. Thanks. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I mean, also there is another point, not only permission set, there is another thing is like permission set group. It's like group of permission set. Like if you want to give a single partner to access multiple permission set access, like multiple object level access, you can group those permission set as a group of permission set. That is also feasible in Salesforce. We can achieve in that design as well. Yeah. Yeah, Vinay,
Okay. So
over to you.
everything can be managed on the sharing settings.
Yeah, I'm not talking about setting here. I'm talking about permission set. Permission set can be added in the connected app. And in the permission set, you can give access to the object level access. You can provide it, right? Object level or class level or anything you can do it. So you can assign those permission set to the connected app, and you can accordingly consider like you have 10 partners. Out of those 10 partners, you want to divide them in 5. So you can just create 2 connected apps, and in those 2 connected apps, you can assign 2 different permission set. Those 2 permission set will be having different level of access. Yeah. Over to you,
Thank you.
Vinay. Yeah.
Great. Any other questions, guys?
So Sam can give some flow.
Sorry. Yeah. Can you repeat your question, please?
Yeah, where to assign that particular permission set with the connected app?
I guess can you share your screen? I mean, there's an option to share the connected permission set to the connected app. We can do that. Can you go to the setup, please? Yeah. Yeah. Can you go down? Can you open any connected app and just scroll down over there?